This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Sunday, and yes, I should not have took Thursday off, because my God, was it a busy news day. Holy shit. Joe Manchin announced that he will no longer be seeking the Senate seat from West Virginia. James Comer apparently loaned his brother the same amount of money that Joe Biden loaned his brother. Goldfish, Mitochondria, Venus, good evening. Welcome. A U-Haul van led police on a chase, ended up with a dude hanging off of an overpass. We're going to talk about all those things. Plus a lot freaking more. Good evening. Netanyahu went on the morning show, on the morning shows here in the U.S. earlier today, rejecting calls for a ceasefire. This, of course, coming as Israel bombed another fucking hospital. Mitochondria, I am so sorry. Hopefully it's not one that Israel's going to be bombing. Sending love to you and hope that you are feeling better and that it's not too serious. I'm glad I could turn your night around. Good evening. I've got the craziest fucking right-wingers swinging from my nuts on Facebook all the time. I've got a new one now. I don't even remember what his name is. I've been calling him Potato because he literally looks like a fucking potato. I told him if he's a man, he'd call in. But he said, no, real men are watching football. Go enjoy your sporty ball, dude. I don't give a shit. Keep defending pedophile cops and priests. Oh, shit. I mean, you know, Mitochondria. It's the U.S. You never know. The U.S. is not opposed to bombing people on their own soil. Just ask the Move organization in Philadelphia. Dance, Dustin, dance. Good evening. Welcome, my friend. Dustin usually consuming the show on replay. Here with us live tonight. So glad to see it. Glad to have you here, my friend. But the right winger that's riding my nuts on my Facebook page right now, I don't even know where he came from. I don't know what page I was trolling that caused him to stop by. But he keeps calling me Axl Rose. Apparently anybody that wears a bandana looks like Axl Rose. Which is wild that he keeps wanting to try to insult my looks because he's an ugly motherfucker. A potato-looking piece of shit. Purgatorus, welcome. Let me hit you with your meme of the day. I'll show you a picture of him. Yesterday was Veterans Day. Sorry I missed out on the Veterans Day celebration, so we salute real patriots supporting real heroes. I mean, so I don't take it as an insult, but I don't look anything like Axl Rose. Nothing like Axl Rose. Just, I wear a bandana. That's the only thing. And more than one person has been like, oh, you look like Axl Rose. I'm face blind. I do it on this show all the fucking time. Confuse people that I think look alike and apparently don't. Like Theo Vaughn and the dude from Righteous Gemstones. But thank you for saying I'm handsomer. I appreciate that. He also called Axl washed up, which I thought was wild, because as far as I know, Guns N' Roses is like the highest grossing tour of like the last 5 years or something like that. So I don't think Axl's feeling too washed up right now. I actually saw them in 2017. I think it was 2017. Put on a really good show. My only complaint was The show seemed to be structured for boomers and the late Gen Xers. So this dude, incredibly dumb. Here, let me show you what I mean. Trying to insult my looks, but I think he looks like a fucking potato. So here you go. Here's what the dude looks like. Tell me that's not a potato-looking motherfucker. Freedom, good evening. Looks like a fucking potato, does he not? Yes. I thought the look is, I guess that's his son. The look that his son was giving reminded me of the look Pat always had on their face. We got a gender reveal with Pat. But we never actually found out what Pat's gender was. Tell me that's not a potato-looking motherfucker. He's trying to make fun of my looks. Posted a picture of me. I look fucking hot in the picture. That's what's wild to me. Was like in my better looking days. I'm not the catch I used to be, I don't think. But about 10 years ago, I looked pretty hot if you ask me. And he posted this picture of me. I don't get how it's an insult. You can't really see it too well. I look hot in that picture. I could probably pull the original up. Old Jaden dumbass. I just saw it as I was coming on. Changed his profile picture to an old picture of me. I don't even know where he found that picture, but I look good in it too. That's that picture. So that's the picture he's trying to like make fun of my looks. Come the fuck on. So keep posting pictures of me, bro. That the Jaden kid. Oh fuck! There we go. Has changed his like. That's an old picture of me from 2005, 2006. I was news director of 9 radio stations at the time. A writer for the largest circulated newspaper in the state of Kentucky. He is doing his best to try to troll me. And it ain't working. Because apparently he's upset that I made fun of Chris the skis. I don't know why why me making fun of Chris the skis upset him so bad. But anyway, enough of the trolling. We got a lot of shit to talk about. There's a volcano that could erupt like any second in Iceland. There are fires in Oahu that are destroying irreplaceable rainforest. The far right in Poland, a bunch of nationalists marched calling for independence. They want Poland to leave the EU. It's a Pexit. They want a Pexit. Speaking of Brexit, one of the Tories, Suella Braverman, in some hot water for her comments about the pro-Palestinian protests. We're going to take a look at the footage from the Armistice Day protests in the UK, which apparently made Fox News go nuts. Insane footage. A reporter was reporting live in front of a hospital right before the IDF bombed it. First grade teacher has been suspended. I might agree with this. She was spitting facts, but you probably shouldn't be teaching first graders about genocide. Probably a little too young for them. So I might agree with the fact that she probably should have been suspended. 5th grade might be a better time to be talking about the genocide of the Palestinian people. The U.S. launched airstrikes in Syria. In a related story, a U.S. military plane crashed in the Mediterranean, killing 5 servicemen. Thank you for your service. I think it actually happened on Veterans Day. The irony. There's a fugitive that was wanted in connection with January 6th. He was on the run, led police on a manhunt for 2 or 3 days. He's now been apprehended, facing a slew of charges. You know what I left off? The right was going nuts on Thursdays, and all of the stories I missed out on. A dickwad in... I don't even remember where it was. Was it in Panama? Was it in... It was in a South American country. Actually, Panama is Central America, isn't it? I don't know. I'm bad with geography. I'm amazed I was able to. I off the top of my head knew where Nepal was the other day. Not Ron Paul, Nepal. But this asshole shot some climate protesters. Cold-blooded murder. The right on Twitter has been going nuts praising the dude. Oh, he's had enough. He's had enough, is what they all said. I believe the climate protesters had enough of inaction. You're never going to guess who's running. I'm not even going to tell you. You're never going to guess who's going to run for Congress. He's been a butt of a joke many times here on this show and plenty of other shows. Tell you who's not going to run. His name's Joe Manchin. We are 5 days away from a government shutdown. Possible government shutdown. God, I'm going to be streaming on Friday, aren't I? You know, we had an election last week. And a Republican candidate, right on the eve of that election, was arrested for possession of child pornography. The mayor of New York had his phones seized by the FBI. You hate to see it. A couple of wild stories coming out of California. I don't think it's any coincidence that four current and former LA Sheriff's Department employees committed suicide within a 24-hour period. Don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it. Another story coming out of California that it just shows the incompetence of the cops. Workers were hired to move some bags for this. Apparently, he's a studio exec's son and a social media influencer by the name of Sam Haskell. He hired some workers to move some bags. The workers looked in the bags, found out they were body parts, took the bags back, reported them to the cops 2 times. Went to the I think it was the LAPD first, and they told them to go to the sheriff's department. They go to the sheriff's department to report it. The sheriff's department tells them to go out to the parking lot and call 911. Insane. Remember, this has been back when school started, so it would have been about 3 months ago, probably. We watched the body cam footage of a teacher who was arrested for being drunk at school. You're never gonna guess. Or maybe you will. Maybe you will. She's been arrested again. And I hate, I'm gonna make some jokes and everything, but it's not a joking matter because the woman clearly has an issue that she needs help for. And arresting her at school, her losing her job, I'm sure didn't help her get the help she needed. So it's no wonder that she has been arrested again for showing up to court drunk. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Welcome in, everyone. Trying to scroll up, see if Purgatorus, good evening. Yes, also cancel Justin. Justin posted a very, Starlight, good evening. What was the last headline? Oh, the teacher that was arrested for being drunk at school. Showed up to her court date for being arrested for being drunk at school. And she was drunk again. Yeah, Justin posted a very uncouth, cancelable meme that he made. He has a t-shirt to go with it. I should absolutely be canceled for it, but here is the thing. I did it on purpose. Because I wanted to cause a stir. I figured if I posted it on Twitter, a bunch of people would call me an anti-Semite, and they would hate me and I'd get a bunch of attention for it. Nope. Nobody fucking cared except the people that I actually love and want to impress. Rightfully taking me to task, yes. So I did indeed condemn Hamas.
He condemned.
I was gonna change that. I never got around to that today. I'm sorry. I need to switch that up. I wish I could get one of the right-wingers that's constantly swinging from my nuts to call in. I tell them to all the time. They won't do it because they're scared. And the dude that keeps calling me Axl Rose, here's the thing. Is like I posted some meme about the border. About how like Mexico should have built a wall to keep the Klan and shit out. And he's like, what about the rapists and murderers and terrorists that are coming in? And I'm like, undocumented immigrants are far less likely than U.S. citizens to commit any crimes, yada, yada, yada. If you want to talk about rapists, murderers, and terrorists, let's talk about the cops. Posted all kinds of fucking stories about what the cops did. All the rape, the murder, and the terrorism that the cops have done. And he's like, oh, no. Those are just a few bad apples. Those are isolated incidents. No. And I'm like, motherfucker, every single one of these stories, the police departments they worked for tried to cover it up. They're already here indeed. And I told him, like, it's incredibly racist for him to say it. But we go down and, like, I start talking about, like, if you really want to talk about immigration. Flash, good evening. And let's talk about the corporations that love the cheap labor and the power that they have over immigrants. Let's talk about how undocumented immigrants pay into the system and don't take anything out. Talk about how the Republicans don't want to fix the system because they're in the pockets of the CEOs that love the cheap labor they're getting. And he's like, well, I agree with you about all that. And I'm like, motherfucker, and I don't know why I did. Motherfucker's up in New York, and I did I'm the redneck. I'm the one from Appalachia. So it's so weird. It's so weird to me because that's like the millionth time that's happened to me with right wingers. They'll start fucking spouting their right wing nonsense, and then I'll be like, well, no, the issue is really this, and this. They'll be like, well, I agree with you about that. Oh my God, Snicks, that is still pissing me off. The businessman in Johnson City, the city where I went to college in. I covered this story. He escaped a month ago. There's been no sign of him whatsoever. Where is the manhunt? Remember we did the manhunt in Maine? It was like wall-to-wall coverage. Helicopters flying over. There's no manhunt for this dude. Charged with rape, child pornography. The Johnson City Police Department helped him escape. There is not a doubt in my mind. And I showed you the U.S. Marshals statement on it, and it seemed like the U.S. Marshals knew it immediately too. Sean Williams is his name. Sean Williams, a known rapist. Since I went to college in Johnson City, he was raping women and getting away with it. Where's the helicopters? Where's the 24-hour news coverage? It's kind of weird to me. They don't fucking care. The feds might. The U.S. Marshals might actually care. They seem like they're trying to capture him. But, you know, if you're being impeded by the local law enforcement... Fair enough, Comet. Fair enough. All right. Let's get into it. Find out what that news be doing. What you're here for, not for me to rant about. Well, I mean, we'll rant about shit as we go along. First off, there is an evacuation going on in Iceland right now because a volcano could erupt at any moment.
Iceland declared a state of emergency as fears grow for a major volcanic eruption in Grindavik. Authorities evacuated people from this fishing town of about 4,000 residents after increased seismic activity began heading south. An indication that a corridor of magma or semi-molten rock now extends beneath the town. In recent days, scientists recorded thousands of earthquakes in Iceland, with some that tore apart roads and a golf course in Grindavik, an ominous sign of a possible volcanic eruption soon.
It cannot be ruled out that the magma tunnel that is forming could reach Grindavik. Police chief has decided, in consultation with the National Guard, to evacuate, and the National Guard simultaneously declared a state of emergency. The latest data show considerable displacement and a large magma tunnel forming that may open. This decision is made with the safety of the residents in mind.
The damage on and underground has Icelandic authorities on edge, with memories of 2010. Back then, a massive volcanic eruption hurled chunks of rock while spewing smoke and ash. And while that eruption...
That's what I was getting ready... I think they're going into that. I was getting ready to say, like, that shut down air travel over a lot of Europe at the time.
And while that eruption pumped smoke into the skies, it emptied them of air travel, grounding planes on a scale not seen since the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. That ash cloud rose as high as 11,000 meters, and the air travel disruptions between Europe and North America cost an estimated $3 billion through more than 100,000 canceled flights. Concerns of a possible eruption increased after a recent 4.8 magnitude earthquake hit the area, causing a temporary closure of the iconic Blue Lagoon geothermal resort. And as evacuees now seek shelter in aid centers, experts warn the 10 kilometers long underground magma corridor is spreading. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News.
Ooh. I have a feeling we are going to be reporting on a volcanic eruption in the next couple of days. Holy shit. There's another wildfire burning in Hawaii. A few months ago, we covered the Lohana. Oh man, Iceland pretty much is a volcano, isn't it? Like the entire island is pretty much a volcano. Covered the fires in Lohana. My God, the video that we saw out of Hawaii. End of summer? Heartbreaking. But there is another wildfire burning in Hawaii now. This one is destroying irreplaceable rainforest in Oahu. No one was injured and no homes burned, but the flames wiped out irreplaceable native forest land that's home to nearly 24 fragile species. Wildfire burning in a remote Hawaii rainforest is underscoring a new reality for the normally lush island state, just a few months after a devastating blaze on a neighboring island leveled an entire town and killed at least 99 people. No one was injured and no homes burned in the latest fire, which scorched mountain ridges on Oahu, but the flames wiped out irreplaceable native forest lands that's home to nearly 24 fragile species. And overall, the ingredients are the same as they were in Maui's historic town of Lohana. Severe drought fueled by climate change is creating fire in Hawaii where it's almost never been before. It was a really beautiful native forest, said J.C. Watson, the manager of the Kulai Mountain Watershed Partnership, which helps take care of the land. He recalled it had ulihi fern, which often dominate Hawaii rainforests, and koa trees, whose wood has traditionally been used to make canoes, surfboards, and ukuleles. Not a full-on clean burn, but it's pretty moonscape looking out there, Watson said. My God! That is heartbreaking. The fact that this fire was on Oahu's wetter windward side is a red flag to all of us that there is change afoot. This is according to Sam Gon III, a senior scientist and cultural advisor in the Nature Conservancy in Hawaii. Clinically, good evening. News Gimp at your service. Oh, you missed the Iceland volcano, but that's about all you've missed. Man, Bear Pig is real. This is a mountain range in Oahu that has been burning in a part of a rainforest on the Hawaiian island. 24 species native to this forest. No one hurt, no one injured, no homes burned, but this is an ecological catastrophe. Fire mostly burned inside the Wahoo Forest National Wildlife Refuge, which is home to 22 species listed as endangered or threatened by the U.S. government. They include ewu, elepio birds, probably. I'm horrible at pronunciation, I'm sorry. A tree snail called Pupukani oi, and the Hawaiian hoary bat, also known as Opiapia. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which manages the refuge, does not yet know what plants or wildlife may have been damaged or harmed by the fire. Fire incinerated 2.5 square miles since being spotted. 6.5 square kilometers for those of you in the European region, or anywhere else in the world, actually. I'm sorry. The first being spotted on October 30th and was 90% contained as of Friday. Officials were investigating the cause of the blaze, roughly 20 miles north of Honolulu. Oh, thank you, Freedom. I give it my best shot. I apologize to anyone whose names I mispronounce, or the animal species that I completely butchered the names of. I will, if it's a word that I feel that we should add to our vocabulary that I haven't heard before in a story, I will look it up and get us a pronunciation and definition. I am not above that. Because I like to learn. We should learn on this show. That's what I'm all about. Let's learn about the fascists in Poland, shall we? Poland's Nationalist Independence March draws thousands in Warsaw. Dubbed as the largest patriotic demonstration in Europe, it was overshadowed by far-right's recent electoral defeat. So basically what they are demanding is Poland, and because it's going so well for Britain, that Poland leave the EU. What will they call it if Poland leaves the EU? A Pexit? The far right in Poland looking for a Pexit. Thousands joined a march by nationalist groups in Poland's capital of Warsaw in what organizers described as the largest patriotic demonstration in Europe. A Pexit! A Pexit upon your house! Patriotic demonstration means fucking fascist. Participants carried Poland's white and red flag, and some burned flares and held Celtic crosses as they marched along a route leading from the city center to the National Stadium on Saturday. The event, held every year as Poland celebrates its Independence Day holiday, took place less than a month after the pro-European opposition secured a majority in parliamentary elections. While many patriotic events take place across the nation of 38 million each year, the yearly Independence March has come to dominate news coverage because it has sometimes been marred by xenophobic slogans and violence. The event has, in the past, drawn far-right sympathizers from other European countries, including Hungary and Italy. I assume that's Mussolini's granddaughter and Viktor Orban. Among those taking part this year was Paul Golding, the leader of Britain First, a small far-right party in the UK. Football supporters were prominent among the marchers, some holding banners with far-right slogans. Anti-abortion rights groups were also present at the event, where Christian symbols were on display. Ah, no shit! I would never expect Christian symbols at a fascist march. Police removed climate protesters who placed themselves among the route of the march. This year's event was attended by some 40,000 and passed off peacefully, the Warsaw mayor, Rafał Trzaskowski, said. It came as nationalist forces have seen their worldview rejected by voters. In October's election, voters turned out in huge numbers to embrace centrist, moderate conservative, and left-wing parties after 8 years of rule by Nationalist Conservative Party. It was at odds with the European Union. In recent years, the annual Independence March has attracted up to 250,000 participants. The lower turnout was the result of internal splits between leaders of the rally, as well as the spectacular electoral defeat suffered last month by the far-right Confederation Party, which is traditionally allied with the event. The party won just 18 seats in the 460-seat Sejm, the Polish parliament. I think I looked this up when we covered the election at the time. Can I get a pronunciation?
Same.
The Sejm. That is the Poland parliament. The Sejm. The Polish parliament. Meanwhile, Law and Justice, the governing right-wing nationalist party whose leaders joined the march in the past, won the most votes but fell short of a parliamentary majority. Many on the political right believe that the results of the election, in which the coalition of the liberal civic Maynard! Leave alone! You can see him looking at me there. Justin, good evening. I bet I can guess the face that he was making at me, even though I couldn't see it. He loves to give Socks hell, and Socks just over here minding his own business. These cats, I swear. So the story mentioned British right-wingers. Let's talk about one of those now. She already got fired once. It feels like she might be getting fired again. Calls to sack Suella Braverman grow amid furor over pro-Palestine rally remarks. British Home Secretary faces anger within her Conservative Party after calling demonstrations hate marches. That is, Suella Braverman, wasn't she? Do we have Warlord in here? He might be in bed already. Wasn't she the finance minister at one point in time? The political future of British Home Secretary Suella Braverman hangs in the balance as she faces anger within her own Conservative Party after making unauthorized comments about the country's pro-Palestine demonstrations, which she called hate marches, and for criticizing the police. Well, I mean, I can go with that. I can go with the criticizing the police. In an opinion piece published in the Times on Thursday, Braverman said that the police play favorites and have taken a soft stance towards rallies in support of Gaza, which she described as pro-Palestinian mobs. The content was not agreed with number 10. A spokesman for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak told reporters, referring to the Prime Minister's Downing Street office, the ministerial code is clear that any ministerial media interventions need approval from number 10. Sunak is under pressure to sack Braverman, but his spokesperson, Max Blaine, also said the Prime Minister still had full confidence in her. Sunak's deputy held meetings this week to discuss plans for changes to his cabinet. Bloomberg News reported on Thursday, adding that a reshuffle could come as soon as next week. Once again, I would like to see them hold elections, but they're not going to, because the Tories are going to get trounced. So they're going to hold, I think it's 2025 or 2026 before they are forced to have an election. They're going to hold on for as long as they can. Braverman is seen as a potential future leader of the governing Conservative Party, after she's already been fired once and on the verge of being fired again. Has consistently staked out far-right positions on issues such as multiculturalism and immigration. Yes, she is an anti-immigration immigrant. The opposition Labour Party has drawn on such incidents to paint a picture of a weak and divided government, with Yvette Cooper, is that how you say that? I always fuck those names up. I'm pretty, she was like finance minister when the whole, I want to say under, I might be wrong on that. I smoke a lot of pot. But I wanted to, like, I thought she was finance minister under Boris. And then she got fired during the whole Liz Truss thing. They can apparently call for what's a snap election anytime they want, which is kind of cool. But they have a set period. You have to have an election by blah, blah, blah. I had Warlord explain it to me one time. Where the fuck is he? He's online. Hold on. Got British questions. Not about your beans either. I want to say it's about 2025. Is it a nice dick or not? Okay. Explain to the chat elections in Britain. So the ruling party can call for an election, a snap election at any time, but they have to have an election by 2025 or 2026. And what was Suella Braverman? There's a 5-year limit. You have to have an election every 5 years. Okay. What was Suella Braverman under Boris Johnson? He came right when I asked. I mean, that's service right there. You don't know? Well, what good are you? I love you, Warlord. Love you. Love you. Sunak must know that this isn't the way that a Home Secretary should behave, it said Keir Starmer. He must know in himself that the role of responsible government is to reduce tension and to support police in the difficult decisions they have to make. Keir Starmer, the head of the Labour Party, really sucks. In an open letter to Sunak, Labour's national campaign coordinator, Pat McFadden, noted that no previous Home Secretary has ever launched such an attack on the police. Which sounds base to me. I'm pro fucking with the police. I'm anti-racism. I agree with her anti-police policy. I disagree with her kill Bart policy. She had criticized demonstrations marching for a ceasefire and in support of the Palestinian people that took place on Armistice Day in the UK.
Rishi Sunak's a waste man. Rishi Sunak's a waste man. Rishi Sunak's a waste man.
What are they chanting, Warlord? And they seem to be doing it to the tune of Seven Nation Army. Rishi Sunak is a race man?
Rishi Sunak's a waste man. Rishi Sunak's a waste man. Rishi Sunak's a waste man. Rishi Sunak's a waste man.
I've never sort of done any kind of march.
Are they saying that he's a... You don't even know. Do you not speak British? Are they saying that he is a waste of a man? Or are they saying that he's a waste man, that he should be picking up trash?
I've never sort of done any kind of march, never attended anything like this before. But yeah, it was Braverman that made me come out.
The one that brought me here today was the attempt to confuse what we're talking about with hate, and the fact that I deeply believe that we're here in remembrance. We're trying to remember the people who are dying today as well as the people who've died in the past.
I was in the TA and I served in Iraq. My sister's in the military. Today is a really important day for anybody who has lost loved ones in any war to be marching today against this.
Look around you. There's nothing remotely close to any sort of hatred.
It's a peace march. We're here for peace.
This country has hope because it's giving us the right to protest. The government is trying to portray these marches as hate marches, but look at the diversity. I'm seeing white people, I'm seeing black people, I'm seeing Muslims, I'm seeing Jews, I'm seeing everyone we're being united as humans. My grandparents, I used to blame them for leaving Palestine in 1948, but now seeing what's happening in Gaza in front of our eyes, anyone looking for their safety and their human rights, right? They will leave. They will leave, and then the future generations are going to blame them. Please be louder than me. What do we want? Ceasefire. What do we want? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. What do we want?
So it's got to, you've got to realise, stop
polarising people, stop making people hate each other.
I think our words are dangerous because I think what it does is it actually calls people who are on the fringes of the right to come along and cause issues in what is a peaceful protest.
While the march took place, police and far-right counter-protesters clashed. So protests all around the world in support of a ceasefire, but are we going to get one? How do I know? Because the man that would have to agree to one says ain't fucking happening.
On the situation in Gaza, Israel releasing new images of their tanks firing on Gaza neighborhoods, even as Israel promises to help evacuate babies from the dire situation at the city's main hospital. We get more from ABC's Patrick Reevell. Patrick, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, Gaza is in the distance behind me, and we've been listening to constant explosions and there's thick black smoke rising from it. The situation in Gaza's main hospital is indeed dire. We spoke about an hour ago to a doctor there who told us that the main water tank for the hospital was destroyed, meaning that there is now no water there. The humanitarian situation in Gaza just catastrophic and getting worse.
This morning, Israel defiantly pressing its ground offensive deeper into Gaza, despite growing international pressure for a ceasefire. Israel releasing these videos with an on-the-ground perspective of tanks firing amid apocalyptic devastation in northern Gaza. Whole streets turned to rubble. Israel says over 200,000 Palestinians have now fled south. Israel refusing to back down despite desperate pleas as its forces close in on Gaza's main hospitals. The World Health Organization this morning saying it's lost contact with Al-Shifa Hospital, Gaza's largest medical complex. Hundreds of patients are trapped there, doctors say without electricity, water or food, as fighting rages around it and strikes hit it. Israel says Hamas...
Justin, I totally understand. My best friend video chatted me on Friday. He said, well, I got some news for you. I was like, what? And I figured he's going to tell me somebody in my family was dead. He's like, my wife has COVID. I was like, well, shit. I mean, like, it's not like it was 2 years ago when I was telling you not to go on vacation with your family. Still sucks. Then later on that night, he's like, yep, I'm not feeling good. I was like, well, enjoy your COVID, dude. Congrats. I totally understand. I was stupid for going out the other night. I haven't had the newest vaccination.
Has a headquarters under the hospital and told people to evacuate. But a top doctor there telling our Matt Gutman recently that's impossible.
What would happen if you did have to evacuate all the people who still remain?
If you say evacuate the patients, it means you want me to kill at least 100 patients at 1 second.
Doctors at Al-Shifa now warning nearly 40 premature babies in incubators are at risk with fuel or...
Several have already died.
Saying 2 have already died. The IDF overnight saying today it will try to help evacuate the babies. Despite the deepening humanitarian catastrophe, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu overnight flatly rejecting any ceasefire unless Hamas releases its 240 Israeli hostages. Netanyahu saying Israel will not stop until Hamas is destroyed. Calls for Israel to pause its assault are mounting as protests grow in Western countries. In London, hundreds of thousands joining a pro-Palestinian protest Saturday, marching on the US Embassy. Arab and Muslim leaders also gathering for a summit in Saudi Arabia Saturday, where Iran and Saudi's leaders made a rare joint call for an immediate ceasefire. But Netanyahu saying no international pressure will deter Israel, saying it will...
No, nothing is going to deter this motherfucker. The only thing that's going to deter him is if the U.S. turns off the fucking funds. Unfortunately, that is the only way we are getting a ceasefire.
Come on, man.
And it apparently isn't happening, and it breaks my fucking heart.
Will stand against the world if necessary.
Netanyahu last night also rebuffing a US plan or proposal suggesting that the Palestinian Authority could take over the Gaza Strip after the war ends. Israel making clear that it has no intention right now of scaling back its assault. Stephanie?
So they don't want the PLO taking over, and why is that? Because they don't plan on letting Palestinians back in the Gaza Strip. That's why. This is insane. This is insane to watch this.
Patrick, thank you so much.
Shut up, George. I thought she might ask him a question or two, but no, we just went straight to George Stephanopoulos there. This is wild footage. A reporter was live on air in front of, I don't know if it's the Indonesian hospital in Gaza. So this is not the Al-Sahif hospital we were just talking about. Live on air, and watch what happens.
الغالبية ذهبت. لا إله إلا الله. هنا غارة جديدة كما ترون. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. عزام ناري يعني غارة. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. حاول أن تحتمي أرجوك. نعم زميلي الآن غارة جديدة على ما يبدو. الغالبية ذهبت. لا إله إلا الله.
He came back and started reporting.
حاول أن تحتمي أولا.
Amazing bravery.
عزام ناري يعني غارة. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. حاول أن تحتمي أرجوك. نعم زميلي الآن غارة جديدة على ما يبدو.
Fucking wow. The balls on that dude indeed. He ducks for a moment, comes back and continues his reporting. Before another, let's watch that again. It's insane.
الغالبية ذهبت. لا إله إلا الله. هنا غارة جديدة كما ترون. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. عزام ناري يعني غارة. حاول أن تحتمي أولا. حاول أن تحتمي أرجوك. نعم زميلي الآن غارة جديدة على.
I'm amazed that people are rushing inside of the hospital, but there might be a shelter in the basement. I'm not sure. I wouldn't think that you would want to be inside of a building as it's being bombed. It's a very good point, Venus. Not a lot of reporters are even allowed in Gaza at this time. That's what I was thinking, Dustin. But I mean, they may have shelter. They may be running to patients or something. They may have family inside of the hospital. So I'm not exactly sure why they are running inside. Like if they are staff at the hospital, they may be running inside to treat patients, make sure their patients are okay. Does anybody believe Israel didn't bomb the first hospital that they've now denied? They took credit for it originally. Then they denied it. Does anybody believe them that they aren't out here bombing hospitals indiscriminately? Come the fuck on.
The Israeli military says it's agreed to help evacuate babies from Gaza's main hospital, the Al-Shifa, where conditions have become desperate while fighting continues outside. Local officials said 2 premature babies had died there for a lack of power, and overnight the World Health Organization has warned that it has lost communication with the hospital in Gaza City. A surgeon there previously told the BBC the hospital had run out of water, food and electricity, and that the intensive care unit had been struck. Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reiterated that the war in Gaza will continue until Hamas is destroyed.
Try him!
Hostages are free.
Try him for war crimes. Hostages freed. I am certain there are dead hostages under the rubble, killed at the hands of Israel.
Start with a report from the BBC's Nick Beake in Jerusalem.
The battlefield that is northern Gaza, illuminated by the latest bombardment from Israel overnight. The country has vowed to wipe out Hamas. Thousands of Palestinian civilians have been killed in the process. Some of the biggest fears remain for those
10,000
shelter in Gaza's hospitals. Israeli forces say they're clashing with Hamas fighters, who they claim are in bases underneath the buildings. The Israelis say they're not targeting hospitals or civilians. One doctor in the south of Gaza described what it was like for his colleagues in the north at the biggest hospital in the territory.
The situation in Shifa Hospital now are very critical. Nothing happened like this before. There is direct targeting of the hospital buildings. So our colleagues there, they barely communicate with the outside community. They are feeling that like they are facing death without any help and support.
The Israeli military says today it will move out more than 30 newborn babies from the Al-Shifa hospital. This was one of the wards a few days ago. Doctors have said the neonatal intensive care unit has stopped working because of a lack of electricity. Outside, Israel's ground offensive in northern Gaza intensifies. Many Palestinians have been forced to flee to the south, but others have stayed. And lots fear they're now trapped amid the fighting.
IDF forces have completed the encirclement of Gaza City. They are operating in the heart of the city. They are on the outskirts of Shifa Hospital. They eliminated thousands of terrorists, including senior commanders and many murderers who were among those who led this terrible massacre on the cursed Saturday of October the 7th.
Hamas took more than 200 hostages during their attacks on the 7th of October. Once again in the city of Tel Aviv, families of the kidnapped called on the Israeli government to do more to try to secure their release.
I came here to shout for my kidnapped parents, which are already 35 days not here with us, kidnapped in Gaza. We don't know their situation and we need them to be released immediately.
Back in Gaza, the hospital's overwhelmed, with dire warnings of what could happen next. Nick Beak, BBC News, Jerusalem.
And Nick joins us now from Jerusalem. Nick, evacuating babies from Al-Shifa is not going to be an easy task, is it?
Good morning, Vishala. No, it won't be. I mean, trying to move some of the youngest patients from intensive care is a very delicate process at the best of times. But we've got to remind ourselves that this hospital, which is the biggest in Gaza, is...
And move them to where? Where are they going?
Right on the front line of the fighting now. The Al-Shifa hospital has seen fierce clashes between Hamas and Israel, and so what they're trying to do today is extremely difficult. We haven't got a huge amount of detail about what will take place. Israel says that it wants to help in the evacuation of the babies who've been in the neonatal unit, which apparently has lost electricity. There are reports that already 2 babies have died. The BBC was sent a photograph later.
Yes, both reports that we have watched there from this morning have said 2, but I'm pretty sure I saw earlier when I was doing research for the show that it was dozens. Venus saying 39.
Last night, which appeared to show more than 20 babies who are wrapped up and have been placed on a hospital bed. And the medics who sent the photo basically said that these babies desperately needed oxygen and that they've been not able to have that in the hours before the photo was taken. And they say this illustrated the urgency of the situation. Speaking to people in the hospital was difficult, but last night we did get a sense that it was not quite clear how this operation would take place. So certainly we wait, and of course lots of other people wait to see what exactly will happen this morning with this attempted evacuation of these babies. It's reported 37 babies are there and needed to be moved to safety. Of course, the head of the hospital...
So counting the 2 that had already died, that's the 39, all of them.
The head of surgery says actually the priority should be resuming power to the unit where they were being cared for. That would be the best thing for these young patients.
Nick, thank you very much for that update. Nick Beak, our correspondent in...
I've got no words. It is a genocide. It is absolutely Israel committing genocide against the people of Palestine. And I believe that we should call it what it is. We should not mince words. However, you probably shouldn't teach first graders about it. First grade teachers in LA suspended, now under investigation after giving students a lesson about the genocide in Palestine. California teachers suspended after giving first graders a lesson on genocide in Palestine. Citizens of the World Charter School Of course, it's a charter school. Hosts its classes at a local synagogue. The school's principal is also taking a 2-week leave to undergo sensitivity training. Do we have a news hit on this?
A local charter school under fire today for allegedly giving anti-Semitic lessons to young children.
That's not anti-Semitic. That's the truth.
Adding to the controversy, the school shares its campus with a local synagogue. This controversy involves Citizens of the World Charter School. It's in Valley Village. The pre-K through 4th grade school leases space from Adat Ariel Synagogue. Well, just after the Hamas terrorist attacks last month in Israel, the synagogue put up Israeli flags on their property. But school officials say 2 teachers made disparaging comments on their private social media accounts and during lessons to 1st grade students. Those teachers were not identified. We have not been able to contact them. The school's principal is accused of sending an email to the rabbi expressing her concerns about the flags.
First, it is our courtyard that we generously allow the school to.
This is the rabbi.
It is not their space. But more importantly, I told the principal that inquiring when our flags were coming down was like asking someone on September 11th to take down their American flags.
The school's principal announced today that she's taking a 2-week leave for sensitivity training. The 2 teachers involved are not returning to the campus, and the school says it will now work with the Anti-Defamation League to train their personnel. The school says it serves a diverse community, and officials want the school to be a safe place for everyone with no room for hate.
Calling it what it is not hate. A first grader should not be learning about war. Should not be discussing current events. I mean, do they even fucking know their ABCs yet? U.S. and what is probably going to spiral into a much wider conflict. U.S. has carried out airstrikes in Syria against Iran-linked facilities. The United States carried out 2 airstrikes in Syria against Iran and its allied groups on Sunday. The Pentagon said this is the latest response to a series of attacks against American forces in Syria and in Iraq. What are U.S. forces doing in Syria or Iraq? In a statement, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the strikes targeted a training facility near the city of Abu Kamal and a safe house near the city of Mayadeen. He said that President Joe Biden ordered the strikes.
Come on, man.
I condemn these strikes.
He condemned.
The president has no higher priority than the safety of U.S. personnel, and he directed today's action to make clear that the United States will defend itself, its personnel, and its interests. Local sources also said the strikes targeted a camp run by pro-Iranian militias in an area west of Abu Kamal in the Deir al-Zur province. The other strike was near a bridge close to the city of Mayadeen, near the Iraqi border and stronghold of pro-Iranian militias. The strike is the 3rd since October 26th as the United States attempts to quell wave after wave of drone and rocket attacks against American troops in Syria and Iraq, triggered by the Israel-Hamas war. Also, I don't like calling it the Israel-Hamas war. You can't really have a war when only one side has a military. It's a slaughter. Call it what it is. It's a slaughter of the Palestinian people. Iran and its supporters say the United States share responsibility for Israel's declared war against Palestinian militant group Hamas, which is also backed by Iran. Kinda. In a related story, the safety of U.S. personnel, right? The president is responsible for the safety of U.S. personnel.
5 U.S. military members have been killed in a plane crash. I'm going to read you now the latest from the Associated Press as we take a live look out in the Capitol building. Associated Press reporting that the 5 U.S. service people were killed when a military aircraft crashed over the eastern Mediterranean Sea during a training mission. That's what the U.S. European Command said today.
Training mission.
The aircraft crashed on Friday evening, and the European Command saying that all 5 crew members were killed when it went down, quote, during a routine air refueling mission as part of military training. Military initially first announced the crash on Saturday and said that the cause is under investigation, but there are no indications of any hostile activity involved. It said today that the, quote, search and rescue efforts began immediately, including nearby U.S. military aircraft and ships. President Biden did release a statement earlier today. I'm going to read that for you and place it here on your screen as we continue to track the latest developments in this case. It reads here as follows. Today, Jill and I mourn the loss of 5 American service members who died when their aircraft crashed in the Mediterranean Sea during a routine training mission. Our service members put their lives on the line for our country every day. They willingly take risks to keep the American people safe and secure, and their daily bravery and selflessness is an enduring testament to what is best in our nation. Jill and I are praying for the families and friends who have lost a precious loved one, a piece of their soul. Our entire nation shares their grief, and during this weekend, when we pause to honor our nation's veterans, we once more affirm the sacred obligation we bear to those who volunteer to serve our nation, as well as their families, caregivers, and survivors. We pray for the families of all our fallen warriors today and every day. A live look right now outside of Washington, D.C. in the White House. And as President Biden just mentioned, yesterday he was at the Arlington National Cemetery commemorating and celebrating Veterans Day, as we did here at Live Now from Fox. Again, this breaking news just coming into our newsroom as the U.S. European Command confirming that 5 U.S. service people were killed when a military aircraft crashed over the eastern Mediterranean Sea during a training mission, a routine one. Add to that.
A routine one. Well, do some domestic news, shall we? We spoke a lot about foreign terrorists. Let's talk about some domestic terrorists, shall we?
After an extensive 2-day search by the FBI, investigators say they have their man in New Jersey who'd been wanted in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
CBS 2's Christine Sloan joins us now in Monroe Township with the latest on this case. Christine?
Authorities say Gregory Yetman turned himself into the Monroe Township Police without incident. He is now in FBI custody and scheduled to make his first court appearance on...
Wait. 2-day manhunt, and then he just turns himself in? Buddy. If you're already facing charges of fleeing, go ahead and go for it. Why, you idiot, why are you turning yourself in? This might be the longest we've gone without talking about sexual anarchy, because it's been a downer of a show.
You live in sexual anarchy?
On Monday. In Helmetta, New Jersey, residents can breathe a little easier. Authorities say Gregory Yetman, wanted in connection with his alleged role in the January 6 attacks on the U.S. Capitol, turned himself into the Monroe Township Police Friday morning after nearly 2 days on the lam.
The FBI was quite confident that he remained local. So it was kind of refreshing this morning to receive report that He did turn himself in to the Monroe Township Police Department without incident.
FBI officials say the 47-year-old was unarmed at the time of his surrender. Authorities say on Wednesday, Yetman fled his home on Main Street, hopping a fence and disappearing into nearby woods as authorities tried to serve him with a federal warrant. The search for Yetman consumed the small New Jersey borough. Armed FBI agents and camo members of the Joint Terrorism Task.
Once again, where is this for the rapist that's loose in Johnson City, Tennessee right now? Where?
Task force and search dogs spent days combing the dense woods.
I'm glad it's over. The helicopters are gone. That was pretty annoying, and just the general sense of unease.
I think we were a little scared. I work for a school, so we were just, a little hesitant about letting kids go out.
FBI officials say these pictures show Yetman at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th as hundreds stormed the complex. Authorities say Yetman was a police sergeant in the New Jersey National Guard at the time of the riots. The feds say Yetman faces an array of felony offenses, including assault, entering a restricted area, and engaging in physical violence.
The FBI reassured us throughout the entire search that the community was in safe hands.
At the time of his surrender, FBI officials say Yetman refused medical treatment. Again, he's scheduled to appear in federal court on Monday. Yetman nor his family have commented to CBS 2 News. Live in Monroe Township, New Jersey, Christine Sloan, CBS 2 News.
All right, Christine, thank you.
I like freedom. You might be right. Got into the woods and realized, oh, there's no Wi-Fi here. You guys are never going to believe who has decided to run for Congress. Or maybe it won't surprise you. His name is Jacob Chansley, better known as the QAnon Shaman. Jacob Chansley, who rose to notoriety as the QAnon Shaman during the January 6th U.S. Capitol riot, plans to run for Congress as a libertarian in the 2024 general election. Okay, well, there's no shot that he's actually going to make it to Congress then if he's running for as a libertarian. If he ran as a Republican, he might actually win. Chansley, who became one of the faces of the attack due to his distinctive horned headdress and face paint that he wore during the January 6, 2021 riot, filed paperwork on Thursday declaring his interest in running as a candidate in Arizona's 8th Congressional District. Representative Debbie Lesko, a Republican from Arizona, said she will not seek re-election in the district. Chansley was sentenced in November 2021 to 41 months in federal prison after pleading guilty to a felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding in relation to the Capitol attack. His lawyers said during court proceedings that he had disavowed the QAnon conspiracy and former President Trump. Not last I heard. Chansley was released to a Phoenix halfway house last March. Arizona law prohibits people convicted of felonies from voting until they have completed their sentence and had their civil rights restored. However, the U.S. Constitution does not bar convicted felons from holding federal office. I kind of was excited. I was kind of hoping that he would win. But I don't think he will if he's running as a libertarian. Someone who saw that there was no chance of him winning and decided not to run for office again is one senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin.
I got into politics because of an argument I had 40 years ago with my dad. John Manchin owned a furniture store in Farmington, West Virginia.
John Manchin didn't beat you hard enough.
Hardworking people. And one day our local state representative came in and asked Dad for a favor, saying, "You owe me for all the things I've done for your little town." When the man left, I turned to my dad and said, "Now wait a minute, isn't helping Farmington that man's job?" That moment defined the difference between self-service and public service. When I told my dad that I was going to run for office, he
Says the dude who has made millions by serving the people of West Virginia.
He said, "Oh, Joe, politics is a bad business. I'm telling you right now, stay out of it." I didn't disagree that often with my father, but that time I did. I reminded him of the famous line.
No, it was good business for you, wasn't it?
Inaugural address. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. I was 13 when I first heard it, and I'm still inspired today by it. My family were devoted Catholics who immigrated from Italy and Czechoslovakia. So to us, President Kennedy was held in the highest regard, and I knew President Kennedy's words would sway my dad. It took him about a minute, but my dad said that he would support me running if I made a vow to serve all the people, friend or foe, and not just myself. That promise made to my dad all those years ago has been my guiding light. I've never cared about where good ideas came from, and I never blame one side for creating a problem, nor believed that only one side could fix them. When America is at her best, we get things done by putting country before party, working across the aisle and finding common ground. Many times this approach has landed me in hot water, but the fight to unite has been well worth it. Today, West Virginia is attracting more investment, opportunity, and jobs than it has in decades. Here at home and across the country, we are building more roads, bridges, manufacturing plants, and energy infrastructure than almost any time in America's history. After months of deliberation and long conversation with my family, I believe in my heart of hearts that I have accomplished what I set out to do for West Virginia.
No, you saw the poll numbers and you knew you were going to lose to Governor Jim Justice. I've been saying it for months. I knew he was going to lose. Justice is popular. If you guys don't know who Jim... And I look forward to having Jim Justice in the Senate. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be good for this show. Trust me. If you guys don't know who Jim Justice is, he's the dude, the governor of West Virginia during COVID. He read the COVID numbers, and he's like, I'm going to have to go to the bathroom and vomit and piss. He also held up his dog, turned its ass towards the camera, and told Bette Midler to kiss his dog's ass. Dude's entertaining as shit. Also a Democrat that turned Republican. Yeah, let me get those clips for you.
I've made one of the toughest decisions of my life and decided that I will not be running for re-election to the United States Senate. But what I will be doing is traveling the country and speaking out to see if there is an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together. To the West Virginians who have put their trust in me and fought side by side to make our state better, it has been my honor of my life to serve you. Thank you. Every incentive in Washington is designed to make our politics extreme. The growing divide between Democrats and Republicans is paralyzing Congress and worsening our nation's problems. The majority of Americans are just plain worn out. Our economy is not working for many Americans, from the rising cost of food and fuel and everything in between. We have a border crisis with illegal drugs entering our country and killing Americans every day. Our national debt is out of control, and Americans don't feel safe, even in their own communities. We are providing critical aid to two of our allies, fighting wars for their survival, and we must prevent being pulled into a major war ourselves. These are not Republican or Democratic challenges. These are American challenges. They affect every one of us, and we need to face them together. I know our country isn't as divided as Washington wants us to believe. We share common values of family, freedom, democracy, dignity.
DJ Dub, welcome. Also, speaking of Patreon, thank you, DJ Dub. I'm pretty sure that's you. It's weird seeing people's real names, but I'm pretty sure that's you. Thank you for your support. I greatly appreciate it, my man. So now, as I promised, this is Governor Jim Justice, the man who is almost certainly going to be sitting in the seat that Joe Manchin currently occupies.
Doubted us. They never believed in West Virginia. They never believed in West Virginia that we could do it. They never believed that the new cores or the green power or Owens and Minor. They never believed they'd be here. They told every bad joke in the world about us. And so from that standpoint, Baby Dog tells Bette Midler and all those out there, kiss her honey. Absolutely too many.
Your government name.
Y'all going to excuse me just a second. I've got to go pee and then throw up, and because the information is not pleasing that's coming in, and it's not what you want to hear. It's tough stuff. It's just plain tough stuff, and it's worrisome, and we absolutely want to be, on guard, and I want to be on guard for me too.
On guard.
That's just all there is to it. I
believe that was in the rise of the Delta variant, so Jim Justice is going to be a lot of fun to have in the Senate. He used to be a Democrat, switched to Republican because of Trump. I think he actually won election as a Democrat, won election to the governorship, and then became a Republican. Manchin says we're not that divided, but I sure can't tell from our politics. We sure seem to be divided on whether to even keep the government open or not. 5 days, November 17th. I have a feeling it's going to be a long one by the time we get to the end of the week. The link should be down at the bottom. JustinFREAKIN, patreon.com/JustinFREAKIN. Venus, thank you. Thank everyone for your support. I love you all so much. Once again, I encourage you not to. I would rather have you just help me get bigger, share my shit out. If you like a clip I've clipped, share it out on whatever social media. Give us a like, comments, help me beat the algorithm. But if you feel that you want to give, go there's $1. Give the $1. And there's shit on there for you. There are plenty of clips that are exclusive to Patreon. Shows I've been on that aren't my own show, like Man Up Monday with Maskless Moses. All kinds of fucking fun clips you can go. Old shit. You can hear me doing the news from back in the day when I was an actual newsman. All kinds of fun stuff extra on the Patreon. We're coming up on 5 days until a government shutdown. The clock is ticking, it says.
Ticking on efforts to avoid a government shutdown this week. This morning, the new House Speaker, Mike Johnson, is out with a plan, but can he get his own party to go along? ABC's M. Wynn is on.
That's a no.
Break it all down. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Gio. Yeah, House Speaker Mike Johnson unveiled a rather unusual stopgap plan to avert a potential government shutdown come this upcoming Friday.
This morning, we're learning more about a two-step plan by House Republicans to keep the government open as yet another shutdown deadline looms. House Speaker Mike Johnson introducing a laddered continuing resolution that would stagger deadlines for different federal services. The first part of the bill aims to extend funding until January 19th and cover key government services including the military, construction, and housing. The second part of the bill would extend funding until February 2nd and include funding for other parts of the government.
Trust us, we're working through the process in a way that I think the people will be proud of.
This plan is meant to buy Johnson more time to pass individual appropriation bills, but some in his own party already don't want it, including Representative Chip Roy of Texas, saying on social media, "My opposition cannot be overstated." The new plan doesn't include changes to immigration policy, which is a blow to many Republicans, and it doesn't include any additional aid for Israel Israel or Ukraine, something Democrats have been pushing for. But a Senate Democratic leadership aide expressed cautious optimism to ABC News that the new plan funds the government at current spending levels without any budget cuts so far. If lawmakers don't pass a spending bill by the November 17th deadline and the government shuts down, some 3 million federal employees, including military service members, could be affected. Air traffic control operators and TSA workers could have to work without pay during the busy Thanksgiving holiday.
A House floor vote could come as early as Tuesday, and with just 5 legislative days to go into the next spending deadline, Congress has little room for error.
And the clock is ticking once again. All right, Em, thank you. For more, let's bring in ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who will be hosting This Week later this morning. John, good morning to you. It's always great to see you. So let's start right there with this huge week ahead for President Biden, that looming government shutdown, and a critical meeting with China's President Xi. Walk us through what's at stake on both fronts.
Well, the meeting with President Xi in San Francisco is a highly consequential face-off. It has been a long time since he has sat down with the Chinese leader. One prominent former official has said this is the most perilous time in world affairs since the end of World War II. And China is really at the center of all of that, not just tensions regarding Taiwan, but also China's ally Russia and Ukraine. And high on their list to discuss is the Middle East. So full plate of agenda items with the Chinese leader. And the government shuts down on November 17th unless they can come to a spending deal. I'm hearing some modest optimism that they can actually get at least a temporary spending deal together. But the White House has already come out and slammed the proposal put forward by Speaker Mike Johnson.
Yeah, White House seems quite critical of that already. Yeah. But, John, while we do have you, your new book, Tired of Winning, comes out in just 2 days.
Oh, my God, it's a book blog.
Congratulations on another one. And there are some new revelations here that you've uncovered about former President Trump.
Yeah, there's a big one that we're going to talk about on This Week.
By the way, I was planning on going the entire stream without even mentioning Trump. Thank you, Jonathan Karl.
And that is a plot that Donald Trump became enthralled with shortly after he left office to actually get back into the White House before the next election. He actually came to believe this crazy theory that he could get Biden ejected from the White House and himself reinstated as president before 2024. You'll see what I found out about that on This Week.
All right, John, we'll look forward.
Why were you saving it for a book? Why didn't you report on it? Because you're a reporter. If you knew it. That's one of those things that really irks me. If you knew it, why didn't you report on it? Why are you saving it for a book? We've done a few streams without Trump. I just there for a little bit. We actually went without Trump for a while. Then all the legal stuff started happening. Remember how the House Oversight Chair James Comer has been making a big deal about impeaching Joe Biden, talking about how Joe Biden was handing out money to his family members? Well, James Comer did exactly the same thing that Joe Biden did. House Oversight Chair James Comer is mad about one particular detail in Joe Biden's finances. Turns out he did exactly the same thing. James Comer has touted the fact that Joe Biden loaned his brother $200,000 as surefire evidence of the president's criminal wrongdoing. But a new report reveals that Kentucky Republican has done the same thing and more. Comer has for months accused Biden of corruption, although he's yet to produce any evidence. In late October, he dropped a so-called bombshell. Biden had given his brother James Biden a $200,000 check with the words loan repayment on the front. Comer insisted the check was actually proof of shady business practices in the Biden family, despite the fact that multiple news outlets, including conservative-leaning ones, found evidence to the contrary. What's more, the check was from 2018, when Biden was not in office or even running to be president. But as the Daily Beast pointed out in a report published on Thursday, if Comer genuinely believes these transactions clear the shady business practices bar, he might want to consider a parallel inquiry into his own family. Not only did Comer also lend his brother $200,000, he did it in the sketchiest way possible. Comer co-owns a farming business with his brother. Their late father was also a partner. With this business, Comer and his brother have engaged in multiple land swaps over the years. The Beast details one exchange after their father's death in 2019. Chad Comer, of course he's a Chad, bought out his brother's half of a piece of an inherited Kentucky property, paying $100,000 according to D records in Monroe County. 5 months later, James and his wife, Tamara T.J. Comer, bought the property out in full, and this time paying Chad Comer $218,000. The buyout netted Chad Comer an unexplained $18,000 above the total value in July. In another exchange, Comer gifted his brother his share of 2 inherited pieces of land with a share value of $175,000. The cost of the transaction was only $1. Comer's brother went on to apply for a hefty tax break and then gift Comer a more valuable piece of land in return. Wow. As Comer likes to say so often, it's not just about the loan itself. While he was swapping the land from his family's farming business, Comer held multiple important roles in agriculture oversight. Before coming to Congress, Comer was a member of Kentucky's state legislature Agriculture Committee for 8 years. He also served as the Kentucky Agriculture Commissioner. When he was elected to Congress in 2016, Comer was a member of the House Agriculture Committee. 2 years later, he negotiated the Farm Bill, which increased federal support for American farmers. But after Comer moved his business away from farming, he also shifted his work away from agriculture oversight. The Beast also found that Comer supposedly runs multiple businesses that do not appear to exist on paper. Shell companies? Shell companies? Oh my God! The company he ran with his father and brother was called Comer Land and Cattle. There were no business filings for a company with that name anywhere in Kentucky. Always projection with these fucks, isn't it?
Come on, man.
Comer's a piece of shit. Remember how we had an election last week? Story kind of flew under my radar. I'm sorry that I did not see this earlier. I was kind of focused on the election and then the debate. So I didn't happen to see this one, but I wanted to point it out to you guys. Republican City Council candidate Brad Benson was arrested on child porn charges on the eve of Election Day in Texas as party slams heinous acts that tear at the heart of society. Brad Benson, a candidate for the city of Granbury, is now facing 2 felonies after billing himself as not your ordinary political candidate. Longtime resident of the city of Benson also sold himself as a small business owner who worked as a volunteer firefighter on the side. The range of experience earned him an endorsement from Republican Party of Hood County, and Tuesday they said they were rescinding their support. I bet. A longtime resident of the city, which is not far from Fort Worth, Benson also sold himself as a gay man with a partner of nearly 10 years, as well as a small business owner who also worked as a volunteer firefighter on the side. That range of experience, none of which was political, earned him an endorsement from the Republican Party of Hood County. On Monday, the day before voters were to flood the pools, the group said it was withdrawing its support. It said flood the pools, not me. In a statement where the party confirmed the allegations against their former candidate just hours after his arrest, they slammed his alleged crimes as heinous, citing additional emerging details in the case. Man, he looks an awful lot like Sean Williams. Are we sure? Once again, this is back to my face blindness. This is, as I mentioned earlier, there is a rapist who was also charged with possession of child porn. The police refused to investigate a serial rapist, probably racist too. Inside the case rocking a Tennessee city, Johnson City businessman Sean Williams is accused of sexually assaulting more than 50 unconscious women and 2 young children in incidents he allegedly photographed and videotaped. Where's a picture of this motherfucker? There he is. Guys that look like this have 100% chance of being pieces of shit. When asked, cops would not specify the extent of the allegations with Hood County lawmen. We're back to the Texas city councilman. With Hood County lawmen only confirming Benson was arrested by the DA's office on Monday and charged with 2 felony child pornography charges. The party, meanwhile, wrote its own statement penned a few hours after Benson was apprehended at his Waters Edge home. The charges against their candidate were serious and, if true, would be enough for them to pull their support. The statement, issued around 3 p.m. on local time, stated that based on the limited information available, it is our understanding that a serious sex-related offense may be involved. If these allegations are true, there is no way the party would ever condone such activity. Weird, because this is a party that actually had a Speaker of the House who admitted to molesting children. His name is Dennis Hastert. Yes, a young woman was actually thrown out of a window by Sean Williams. And you know what? If you guys will, I am friends with her, and she is doing a media junket right now. Would you like me to have her on the show? She is going around trying to raise awareness of this motherfucker who is on the run right now. Sean Williams in somewhere in East Tennessee. If you guys would like me to have Michaela is her name, I will have her on the show. I will get in touch with her. Evans is fighting to have, yep, that's Michaela. Michaela Evans doesn't remember the events before she fell 68 feet from the window of a Johnson City condo on the night of September 19th, 2020. She tumbled 5 stories, landing on her feet. The impact shattered her legs and pelvis and broke all of her fingers and toes. Her punctured lung made a high-pitched wheezing sound as she laid on the ground. They told me if I lived, I'd be paralyzed for the rest of my life, but I proved them wrong. Past 3 years, Evans, a single mom from Kingsport in East Tennessee, has fought to rebuild her life and body, often in agonizing pain. She spent weeks in the hospital and struggled to learn how to walk again through multiple surgeries and physical therapy. She now walks with a cane, but pain is a constant battle. It's not her only battle. Evans is fighting to have her voice heard in the case of an alleged serial rapist that has rocked Johnson City with allegations of police corruption, 2 federal lawsuits, and a scathing audit that exposed systematic failures in the way police investigated sexual assaults. 5 stories. She fell 5. Can't call it a fall. Was thrown 5 stories. The suspect, Sean Williams, 52, is accused of drugging and sexually assaulting more than 50 unconscious women in incidents he allegedly captured in photos and videos. He is also accused of sexually assaulting 2 children, including a baby under 2 years old. That's the first I had heard of that. Once again, there are not fucking helicopters and the National Guard all over East Tennessee right now searching for this motherfucker, and I want to know why. On October 18th, Williams escaped from custody by smashing out the back window of a police transport that supposedly the guards didn't hear. Are you telling me that the guards in a transport van wouldn't hear somebody smashing out a window? No, those motherfuckers let him out. He remains a fugitive on the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation's most wanted list. As the manhunt continues, Johnson City is facing a whirlwind of allegations and lawsuits. So they say that he used a paper clip to get his cuffs and shackles off. Bullshit. One is a whistleblower suit from a former federal prosecutor who alleges that police ignored her repeated pleas to investigate and arrest Williams and then fired her after she complained to others outside the department. The second lawsuit comes from nearly a dozen Jane Does who allege that police knowingly failed to investigate multiple complaints from victims and dissuaded them from pursuing criminal charges as Williams went on to commit more crimes. As I said, when I was in college 10 years ago, I knew about this motherfucker. Yeah, I'll get in touch with Michaela and we'll see if we can have her on the stream. Evans believes she was drugged by Williams before she plummeted from the window of his 5th floor condo, but with little evidence, her case was deemed accidental. She fears that Williams could come after her and her family, but it doesn't stop her from speaking out. Just west of the Blue Ridge Mountains in East Tennessee, Johnson City, a town of about 70,000. If you think you know the name or you've heard of the name Johnson City, you think you've heard of the town, it's because you've heard the Old Crow Medicine Show song Wagon Wheel. Johnson City, Tennessee. And I assure you, everyone in Johnson City hates that song. I won't say everyone, most people. But it also has its share of crime in a region hard hit by the opioid epidemic. Most everyone who hung out in the small downtown core knew of Sean Williams, a popular entrepreneur who owned a glass and concrete business. He was also a convicted felon known to law enforcement as an alleged cocaine dealer. With a garage full of sports cars and ample amounts of cash and cocaine, acquaintances said he enjoyed rock star status in town. This is Michaela. He was known for frequenting the bars and restaurants and inviting people up to his condo for late night parties fueled with drugs and alcohol. One Jane Doe said in her lawsuit, it was the cool thing to be invited to a party at Williams's place. But according to lawsuits, Johnson City police, since around 2018, have been aware of multiple women who had reported that Williams had drugged and sexually assaulted them in his condo. I can't imagine they didn't know far longer than 2018. On the night Evans fell from the window in 2020, she said she was with a male friend at a bar in town when she met Williams for the first time. Evans and her friend agreed to go up to Williams' place for a drink, and it's the last thing she remembers. Suspicious of the fall, police investigated the case as a possible attempted homicide and seized electronic devices and surveillance video from Williams' condo. They also took a safe containing firearm ammunition and recovered a handwritten list on Williams' nightstand, according to a search affidavit. At the top of the list was the word raped, followed by the first name of 21 females, plus another listed as no-name girl. Probably should have hit a content warning somewhere in there, shouldn't I have? We're into the crime section, but we were still kind of in the between politics and crime. Had to go off on a little tangent there. Let's go back to a politician who has been involved in some crime, apparently. Do you know about the mayor of New York? His name is Eric Adams. He's a gigantic piece of shit. And apparently, he might just get his comeuppance.
Prosecutors are now looking into whether New York City Mayor Eric Adams crossed a line when he asked top FDNY officials about a fire safety permit for the new Turkish consulate. And this comes after he had his electronic devices seized in another investigation. Multiple sources tell News 4 that back in September of 2021, Adams texted then FDNY Commissioner Dan Nigro about when occupancy for the 35-story building could take place.
What was the woman Cynthia Nixon? Is that the actress that ran for mayor of New York? Do I have that right? She ran for mayor of New York, right? She would have been a much better mayor, wouldn't she have?
Its owners were hoping to open it while Turkish leaders were in town for the UN General Assembly. Those sources also say that Nigro responded that it would be handled the following Monday. In a statement, Adams said, quote, "As a borough president, part of my routine role was to notify government agencies of issues on behalf of constituents." And speaking to New York One today, Adams condemned information leaking about the investigation.
I'm sorry, she ran for governor. She ran for governor against Cuomo. My bad.
What I really know, is that these periodic leaks stop. We're cooperating. We need to do this together so all the facts can come out.
And this comes as the FBI was already looking into whether Turkish individuals improperly made donations or were involved in the improper bundling of contributions to Adams' 2021 campaign. The mayor's phones were seized last Monday in connection with that investigation. No criminal charges have been filed.
Yet. Let's hope they're coming. Because fuck Adams. He used to be a cop, so that should tell you everything you need to know. Because cops are shady. Speaking of cops and shady business, holy shit. What the fuck is going on in the LA County Sheriff's Department this time? Four former or current employees of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department have committed suicide. It all happened within a 24-hour period.
The Sheriff's Department. 4 employees died this week, just hours apart. The Sheriff's Homicide Bureau is investigating all 4 deaths as suicides. As Cape County's Jasmine Beal tells us, the news sent shockwaves throughout the entire department.
And we're hurting. All of us are hurting.
Richard Pippin, the president of the Association for LA Deputy Sheriffs, wiped away tears Wednesday as he talked about the 4 sheriff employees who died by suicide this week.
I spent a big chunk of yesterday with a family member of one of the people we lost. It's difficult. I've never seen anything like this in 34 years in one day.
His association represents nearly 8,000 deputy sheriffs. He got the news Monday that 3
What do you guys think? Was somebody getting ready to talk? Were they getting ready to tat? What was going on? I don't believe it. I don't believe that there was a what were they being investigated for, or what were they getting ready to open an investigation on somebody else into?
LASD employees had died, followed by another death on Tuesday.
1 retired deputy, 1 custody assistant, which is like a jailer, and a commander, and then a deputy sheriff who works in one of our jails.
The Sheriff's Homicide Bureau is investigating all 4 deaths separately. Pippin says deputies are under a lot of stress, from staffing shortages to dealing with trauma on the job.
Things are tougher than they've ever been. The long hours, the violence, and the sadness. You see people at their worst and during the most difficult times.
LA County Sheriff Robert Luna released a statement saying, in part, "We are stunned to learn of these deaths, and it has sent shockwaves of emotions throughout the department as we try and cope."
Yeah, that's another thing. It could have been gang related. It had nothing to do with their actual duties as officers. Because we know that you pretty much have to be in a gang in order to be in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
with the loss of not just one, but 4 beloved active and retired members of our department family. The LA County Sheriff's Department confirmed 8 suicides this year among the 18,000 employees.
You've gotten calls.
Yeah, of course.
Studies show police officers are more likely to die from suicide than in the line of duty. Sherry Sinwelski with the D.D. Hirsch Mental Health Services explains one risk factor.
Law enforcement, they're supposed to protect the community. They're supposed to be able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Sometimes that makes it even harder for that particular community to say, I need a break, I need some help.
The American College of Emergency Physicians found that law enforcement officers have a 54% increase in suicide risk compared to civilians.
The sheriff also said that his department is urgently exploring avenues to reduce work stress factors to support employees' work and personal lives. Here in Monterey Park, Jasmine, VLKCal News.
If you or someone you care about is having a mental health issue, please call or text.
Jasmineville? That's a veal cutlet I'd like to eat.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Sorry. Couldn't help myself. Yes. Cops are not even in the top 10 most. Yes, cancel Justin. It was mainly the veal joke I wanted to make. I was not going to say anything. She's a cutie. I just couldn't help myself because it's veal. Cops are not even in the top 10 deadliest professions. Delivery driver, the deadliest profession. Or I think, is it log truck driver? Something like that is like the deadliest. But delivery driver's in like the top 3. A gas station attendant, my God. Now, before we do this next story, this is a graphic fucking story, so strap in, guys. Before we do this story, I went to a different, we're going to read from the Daily Mail. But before we read the story, because it was more robust in its reporting, but I want to make sure that a certain fact that I had to go to another story to get is stressed here. I do not like the Daily Mail, but when it comes to doing a story, my God, they usually have like videos embedded. They have like, don't listen to their opinion pieces or anything. But stuff like this, where it's like a celebrity story or whatever, they usually have a lot more information in the stories than others. That's why I'll usually go to the Daily Mail. I do want to highlight this one specific piece here. The workers said they tried to report what they encountered to police, but the California Highway Patrol directed them to the Los Angeles Police Department, which told them to leave and call 911 outside. I go to the DM for trash. Now, what was it, Richard? Good evening. They excel at the tabloid bullshit. Now, what were they trying to report to the cops that the cops didn't care about? Oh, I don't know. Just body parts and garbage bags. Shocking footage shows laborers returning trash bags filled with body parts to Sam Haskell IV's home one day before a headless torso was found in an LA dumpster, and he was charged with murder over the disappearance of his wife and in-laws. A top Hollywood agent's son accused of murder was caught on camera the day before his arrest, enlisting workmen to cart away 2 large trash bags, which the workmen then returned, having found body parts inside. Sam Haskell IV who is 35 years old, was arrested on Wednesday morning after a woman's torso was found in a bag in a dumpster near his Tarzana home. New surveillance camera footage shows Haskell on Tuesday afternoon seemingly trying to get rid of the dismembered body parts. He paid workers $500. He only paid them $500? He paid workers $500 to take away bags he first said were full of rocks and then said were Halloween decorations. When we picked up the bags, we could tell they weren't rocks, one worker told NBC4. They returned the bags and the cash and called the police. His wife, Mia Haskell, 37, is missing. The LAPD now believe the torso to be hers. Her father, Goshen Lee, 72, and mother, Youngjin Wang, 64, who lived with the couple in their $2.5 million home, are also missing. Haskell can be seen in the footage taken from a camera across the road, waving down workmen driving their truck at 3:53 on Tuesday. That's his driveway, I assume. He's taking them over there. There they are pulling the bags out. Clearly fucking heavy. I wonder if they smelled. Wow, we're watching people carry body parts from a house. I'm still blown away by the fact that they tried to report it to the cops. The cops were like, nah, we don't care. The LA County Sheriff's Department told them to go to the parking lot and call 911. The workmen got out of their truck and money is exchanged, and then at 3:57 carry two large trash bags away from the driveway and load the bags into their white truck. The laborers, who didn't want to be identified, claimed the bags were soft and heavy, appeared to be filled with meat and weighing around 50 pounds. The men drive off, but they are suspicious and look inside the bags and find body parts. I was astonished, the worker said. Of course, I felt bad. We had been tricked. At 4:15 p.m., they returned and gave Haskell back the bags and the payment. I would have kept the money, pulled over and called the fucking cops then. What the hell? Haskell tried to claim the body parts were Halloween props, but the workmen said they wanted nothing to do with it and left. You did the work. You deserved the $500. God was watching over us, they said, adding they feared for their lives due to the horrifying nature of their find, which is why you should have pulled over and called the cops, not went back to the house. That was a dumb move. The laborers rushed to inform the police but claimed they were turned away from 2 police stations. California Highway Patrol Station told them to report their find to the Los Angeles Police Department. The LAPD told them to leave the station and call 911 from the parking lot. Police arrived on the scene but saw no sign of the trash bags. The torso would be found at 6 a.m. on Wednesday morning, and Haskell arrested at 11:30 a.m. at a mall in Topanga. Surveillance camera footage obtained by Fox News shows a white vehicle driving into the parking lot in Encino. One man is seen getting out of the vehicle, opening the trunk, and lifting, with difficulty, a large bag from the trunk. So this is the Haskell motherfucker. So the son of a Hollywood agent and apparently a social media influencer. the video. Make it big for some reason. I'm sure the blood red sports collar has something to do with a midlife crisis, right? So apparently this is Haskell doing the dirty deed himself. Definitely having trouble. Why would you just throw it in a dumpster? Not that I'm like giving criminals advice here, but that's a bad way to dispose of a body. You want fire, you want like pigs to eat it. Take it to like a hog pen. Why wouldn't you go somewhere and bury them out somewhere? This is Sam Haskell and his wife, Mee Haskell, pictured in photos from Instagram. So Mee and her mother and father. I think it was a security camera footage because that was at a mall or something, wasn't it? He staggers under the weight of the heavy package but manages to throw it into the dumpster and he drives off. The source of the video told Fox that the police had obtained a copy and a witness in the parking lot took a picture of the SUV's license plate, which was also given to police. The Haskell family had two white SUVs, a white VW Tiguan and a white 2014 Nissan Pathfinder, and both are missing. Haskell's TikTok page shows him engaging in bizarre monologues. The 2022 fascination with Brad Pitt. He also posts videos of himself at a country club in Calabasas and a Ralph Lauren store, as well as driving around in his car. It's unclear if the pouting, muscle-flexing videos were a parody or serious. He discussed burnt steak and rambles about in one video. He talks about feeling resentful. Haskell's father, Sam Haskell III, was a high-profile agent with William Morris, and his clients include Dolly Parton, George Clooney, Whoopi Goldberg, King Charles's brother, Prince Edward. Fucking wow. Also, I'm just amazed that there's like a house in LA that's $2.5 million. Okay, it does seem kind of quaint. It's not like a mansion or anything. That's a $400,000 house anywhere else but LA, so fine.
Tarzana man has been arrested following the discovery of a woman's torso inside a dumpster in Encino. And now police say the man's in-laws are missing. Investigators are concerned for their safety.
KTLA's Carlos Salcedo.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're probably dead.
Very latest developments today. Carlos.
Ladies, it's hard to believe that the home behind me here in Tarzana is part of a gruesome crime scene. 3 people who lived here, they're still missing, feared dead. Now, the murder suspect, he is under arrest, and we're told he's the son of a well-known Hollywood agent. A Tarzana neighborhood rocked by tragedy.
It's devastating. Who wouldn't be devastated?
The unassuming family home on the 4100 block.
The sociopath that killed him.
The center of a homicide investigation involving a woman's torso. This is where 37-year-old Mae Haskell lived with her parents.
Oh, no way, Richard. Did Tim Scott drop out? That would actually surprise me. He'd been appearing with his girlfriend.
Shan Li and Yang Jiang Wang. All 3 are missing and presumed dead. Mae's husband, Samuel Haskell, who also lived on the property with the couple's 3 young sons, was booked on suspicion of murder.
Once officers made entry, what was discovered was evidence of a crime, including some blood.
Yep. Tim Scott apparently is suspending his presidential campaign. He'd actually done pretty well in the debate, so Kind of surprising, but you're a black man in the Republican Party.
But evidence.
Forensic detectives scoured through the home Wednesday evening, finding bags of evidence linking the bloody scene to the gruesome remains
That would be Chris Christie, Venus. Chris Christie will be next.
Discovered hours earlier. A homeless man looking for recyclables inside a dumpster in Encino called police after finding a dismembered body.
The video was reviewed from that business plaza on Rubio and Ventura, and vehicle information was obtained that led us to this location. And once all the pieces were put together, it appears that there's definitely a connection with Mr. Haskell.
A day earlier, police responded to the home after workers reported seeing body parts on the property. When detectives arrived, the bags had been removed.
A lovely mom and a hardworking lady and loved her parents.
Those who knew May and her parents are in disbelief. May had been making plans to meet up with friends and neighbors this week.
That woman that's missing, Grandma, I don't know what we're praying for her, to survive, to live, to know what happened. She limped up the street recovering from a stroke. She was thumbs up, so hopeful.
As the search for the three intensifies, detectives are also asking the public's help to find two missing vehicles that could lead them to more clues. A white Volkswagen Tiguan and a white Nissan Pathfinder. And Samuel Haskell was arrested yesterday at the Topanga Mall. He is facing murder charges. His bail set at $2 million.
Only $2 million? Holy shit, he's the, like, they've got that. That's chump change. That's fucking chump change. So yeah, let's go to this. Let's go to the breaking news. We got a couple more crime stories that we're going to. Oh shit, let's do this too. I should have seen this earlier. I don't know why. Apparently, a Biden campaign event. Oh shit! It was the one with Sean Fain, I think.
President Biden, you need to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. 10,000 and this ain't the time for that. This ain't the time. Genocide happening in Gaza. Israel ordered an evacuation of 1 million Palestinians south of Gaza. Where are they supposed to go? Where? They're in the largest open-air prison in the world. President Biden, you need to call for a ceasefire.
Good on her. I'm all about it. Even though that was a jubilant celebration with the UAW, where it was with Sean Fain held an event. I will say, however, as we're on this topic, let me bring this up. Goddamn. By the way, the SAG-AFTRA, they have reached a tentative agreement. We're going to cover that tomorrow. But workers at one of the GM plants has actually rejected the deal. They rejected the tentative agreement with GM.
No deal after weeks of negotiations and thousands of workers across the country going on strike. The UAW were able to reach a tentative agreement with the Big Three, but union workers with Local 598 in Flint have voted against the new contract with GM. Trey Harris has the story.
It's a little bit of a surprise, but they're not the first local to vote it down. It's certainly not good news for GM. It's probably not good news for the UAW president, Sean Fain.
Just enough votes for UAW workers at GM's Flint assembly plant to reject the proposed contract from GM. Eric Gordon, a business professor from the University of Michigan, says Local 598's decision could highlight a growing concern within the UAW, division among its members.
There are differences of interest within the UAW membership. There are people who are...
Go get more. Go get more. Why not get more? Go for it.
within a few years of retirement. They're more interested in getting what they can get now and getting retirement benefits. There are younger workers who say, I want to have this job for 20 years. Don't do anything that louses that up.
And after already having a long, drawn-out battle with the big three automakers, Gordon says he doesn't expect another gainful contract proposal from GM.
I think it's unlikely that any car company is going to put a significantly better offer on the table. They might put an extra 5 or 10 cents on the table, but this has been a slugfest. They went through a long strike. They already think they may have stretched too far. They're not going to put a lot more on the table.
Gordon says we could see public support sway away from the UAW after Local 598 turned down the contract.
I think the public now is going to say, wait a minute, are you folks just greedy? You got a great deal and you turned it down?
In Flint, Trey Harris, WNEM TV5.
If you're going to call somebody greedy, why wouldn't you call GM greedy? God damn this dude. Fuck that dude. All right, to the breaking news. RIP to Tim Scott's presidential bid. Tim Scott drops out of the 2024 presidential race. The South Carolina senator has been stagnating in the polls for months, despite spending big on early TV ads. So, see you later, Tim. Tim Scott announced just moments ago, apparently. It was like breaking like 15 minutes ago. Tim Scott announced Sunday night that he's dropping out of the 2024 presidential campaign. When I go back to Iowa, it will not be as a presidential candidate. I am suspending my campaign, Scott said in an appearance on former GOP Rep Trey Gowdy's Fox News program. I think the voters, who are the most remarkable people on the planet, have been really clear that they're telling me not now. Not ever, son. You ain't ever going to be fucking president. And since we're on the topic of Tim Scott, we went over this a few weeks ago. He apparently has never been married. He's one of those wasted money on a girlfriend. He is a religious fanatic that is apparently celibate. And this worried some donors. So he kept saying that he had a girlfriend, but she wasn't in the public eye. I guess this was his last-ditch effort during the debate on Wednesday. He actually showed off his girlfriend.
His campaign reporter, Nidia Cavazos, thanks for joining us. Let's talk about it. Were there any breakthroughs last night on the debate stage?
Well, good morning, Anne-Marie. It's nice to meet you all this morning from Miami. Any breakthrough moments? Well, let's talk about first in the debate. It was very clear from the very beginning that Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis were dominating. They dominate against within the 5 candidates that were present, and of course they're still trailing behind Donald Trump. But when it comes to breakthrough moments, there weren't necessarily any major breakthrough moments for Senator Tim Scott or Chris Christie. But what we did have a lot, and just as we heard in the previous story, there were very heated moments, intense moments, but the majority of these moments stemmed from Vivek Ramaswamy. He made it very clear from the very beginning that his target was Nikki Haley. In almost all of his speaking times, he utilized it to answer the question that he was being asked by the moderators, but he also...
Of these fucks right now, Nikki Haley has the momentum. So DeSantis going down, Haley going up, Vivek. This is a vanity project with Vivek, right? He doesn't think he's going to win the fucking nomination. He'll stay in it to raise his profile for as long as he can. I mean, he's a fucking billionaire, right? So he's got plenty of money. There are a couple more that are still in the race, like Doug Burgum, still in the race.
Used it to attack Nikki Haley in one of these moments that is still giving...
I'm pretty sure that Ron DeSantis is indeed a bottom. If we're to judge from the way he walks in his boots. The VP for who, though? Trump is floating Tucker Carlson as his VP now. I still stand behind my pick that it's going to be Marjorie Taylor Greene. But he was like, Trump Tucker 2024. What the hell?
A lot to talk about, and it is still very much trending on social media, is when Ramaswamy was asked about his stance on TikTok on whether the U.S. should be banning the app, and he utilized it once again to target Haley, but he targeted and attacked Nikki Haley's daughter, saying, if Nikki Haley was made fun of Ramaswamy for being on TikTok, then maybe she should be starting with her own family since her daughter was on TikTok. And now this comment obviously was not well received within the audience. It was met with a lot of intense booing.
He's not the Ville chop from earlier.
It also sparked a response. She said, "Leave my daughter out of your voice." This was a contrast to all the other different types of targets that she had been receiving throughout the night from Ramaswamy. So we'll be seeing throughout the next couple of days and weeks and seeing if this, if anything, has any sort of effect, because it wasn't just the tense moments toward Haley. Ramaswamy also attacked the moderators, also took a stab at the Republican.
Oh, he torched everybody.
Republican chairs, and also criticized the media for their role in their coverage. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this.
Yeah, it will be a lot of zingy moments, but I don't know how much that says about how you would lead or what your platform would be all about. Last night, our Ed O'Keefe spoke with former President Trump's presidential campaign senior advisor, and he said Trump will not be attending the next primary debate next month either.
I want to hear about Mindy.
This is
Mindy.
The issue. He said that this about the issue on abortion. This is what he had to say about abortion.
Abortion's always been an important part of.
We saw this live.
Issue secular.
Lactivia.
So I'm curious, he's, not showing up to the debates doesn't seem to be hurting him. Putting the economy before abortion, that doesn't seem to be hurting him either. He's still doing very well in the.
Battle opossum, no. Nobody is going to beat Trump. Trump has it secured. If Trump is on the ballots, if he is running in the primary, he will be the nominee.
Polls.
Yes, in fact, Donald Trump has repeatedly said that he does not have to be on the debate stage. He doesn't have to debate against his GOP rivals because he's been leading them from the very beginning, and he has maintained this lead over all the other GOP candidates that were on stage last night. So he's made that very clear, and his absence has not necessarily been affecting Trump in a negative way whatsoever. But now, when it comes to abortion, yes, the economy in itself affects everyone. It affects Americans all across different states, and it's an issue that's very important to Republicans. It will certainly determine how voters will be, choosing the Democratic or Republican Party. But now, when it comes to the issue of abortion, it's also become very clear that this isn't an issue that can be ignored by the Republican Party. We saw with Tuesday's voting that.
Well, I mean, they're not even going to talk about Mindy. What the hell? Tim Scott reveals a girlfriend after third GOP debate. That's why I clicked on this. There is Mindy. I thought that's who they were going to be talking about. His apparent girlfriend kind of looks like Charlotte Flair. I mean, they have their own reasons for being in the like, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley are running to be the nominee should something happen to Trump, which is smart. It's possible something will happen to Trump. He could pass away. He is old as fuck. Has a diet that is not very healthy. So that's absolutely a possibility. But there could also be legally Trump will be neutered. So Mindy Nance or Noss. So Haley and DeSantis are in that battle. It looks like Haley's going to win. Vivek, he's going to have a podcast, or he's going to have a show on Fox. He's going to raise his profile. A lot of times people run to be vice president, but I don't think any of these fucks are going to be in consideration to be vice president. The unrelated bait and switch video. It happens somewhat regularly, unfortunately. Okay, just a couple more stories here. A couple more crime stories that we want to talk about. Because this one's right up my alley. A U-Haul truck or U-Haul van led police on a high-speed chase in Florida.
Now we're seeing new video of a wild chase that ended with 4 people in custody. Those suspects face a judge Friday accused of stealing a U-Haul to shoplift.
Now they're facing several big charges here. Local 10's Trent Kelly joining us live in West Miami-Dade with more.
Yeah, Andrew and Alex, that chase was certainly full of chaotic moments on Friday. We know this all started down in Homestead when that group was allegedly spotted trying to shoplift at a department store there. After jumping in that stolen U-Haul van, that is when they led police on that chase, and now we're seeing new dash cam video showing the moment officers tried to stop them.
New dash cam video of a wild chase and takedown on
which they are putting people in danger by doing that.
Several pit maneuver attempts by FHP.
The defendant was being pursued involving a U-Haul cargo van theft.
4 people inside the van now facing charges, including Mikkel Wilson, Shanika Gordon, Jamal Stennett, and Norbert Ball. Police say it all started when the foursome was spotted trying to shoplift at a Kohl's store in Homestead. The group bailing out a back door and into that stolen van. The van then headed for the turnpike with dozens of officers from several agencies giving chase. FHP attempting 3 different pit maneuvers, but the alleged thieves continued to try and get away, putting that van into reverse.
In an effort to stop the defendant from fleeing, he sideswiped the officer's vehicle and continued.
Now see, to the January 6th defendant that we covered earlier, this is how you run from the cops. Jesus.
He was trying to make intentional contact with their vehicles as they pursued him.
Police eventually moving in with their guns drawn, one with a canine, as Wilson and Stennett head for the concrete barrier. Stennett appears to try jumping before eventually dangling over the side. His shirt even gets ripped before officers are able to pull him up. Homestead police later sharing this photo of the merchandise worth $2,500 that the group was allegedly trying to steal.
And all 4 suspects.
Honey, the cops the cops did $2,500 worth of damage to that fucking bridge. The cops did far more than $2,500 worth of damage to the van. It was just like shoes and shit, wasn't it? Just some shoes, maybe some watches or something over there. $2,500.
Worth $2,500 that the group was allegedly trying to steal.
And all 4 suspects were later booked here into TGK on felony retail theft charges. 3 of those suspects had their bonds set at between $5,000 and $7,500. The 4th suspect, however, Wilson, he is still being held on no bond. That's because police say he was the driver of that stolen van. For now,
no bond for him, but the dude that cut up a torso, he's got a $2 million bond, which, by the way, totally will be able to pay since his dad is the agent of Dolly Parton and Prince Edward? Jesus Christ. This country. Now, once again, I'm gonna make some jokes, but this is a serious topic. This woman clearly needs help. Her first arrest, I'm sure, caused her to spiral. You can already tell. You're going to school drunk as a teacher. You probably already got some issues you need to deal with, and you need to be sent to rehab, not to be arrested. But to go ahead, arrest her, get her fired from her job, no wonder she would spiral. It's not a surprise to me that this would happen.
Payne County teacher charged with being drunk on the job is back in jail.
And this time she's accused of being drunk in court. News 9 Sylvia Corkill's live in the newsroom with details on both incidents. Sylvia?
Amanda Carl, 3 months after Kimberly Coates was suspected of drinking in her Payne County classroom, she appeared in court Monday for a hearing stemming from the arrest, and shortly thereafter was arrested again. In August, body camera footage captured officials with Perkins Public Schools and police confronting Kimberly Coates, who they suspected had been drinking.
Just observing you in classroom, it looks like something's off a little bit. Did you drink something while you were here at school?
Despite her claims of only having one drink,
Okay, I drank on the way to work.
a breathalyzer test, and evidence
Good job.
proved otherwise.
You blew like a .24.
I don't know what that means. What's
Legal limit's .08.
Okay, no more games, right? Yeah. Other than that.
So she's 3 times the legal limit.
My juice?
Gonna try again? That there is wine.
School officials noted Coates was slurring her words and appeared unsteady on her feet. But despite her arrest and Coates' termination from her teaching position, 3 months later, court records show Coates arrived at the courthouse in a similar state. A deputy noting Coates was unsteady and weaving, her speech slow and slurred, and her eyes glazed. The deputy observed Coates using both the railing and the wall to steady herself. Despite obvious signs of intoxication, investigators said Coates only admitted to having a single alcoholic drink in the morning. Coates was arrested on a complaint of public intoxication. Now, while in court yesterday, Coates pleaded guilty to the original public intoxication charge, then changed her mind.
Oh my God. Yes, get that woman some help. I didn't even have the heart to make any jokes. It's just sad all the way around. When we originally did the story, I mean, that's what they call being a wino. Some people, that seems like a derogatory term, but some people are dependent on it, right? They have to wake up and they have to have a drink of the morning. I understand, it's an addiction, just like any other drug. I don't have a lot of bullshit for tonight, but this one story I wanted to point out because it cracked me up. She deserved like a slap on the wrist, or maybe even a titty slap.
A titty slap!
Come on now. Doesn't deserve to go to jail. Get her help. The Formula One apparently didn't realize that Las Vegas would be cold in November. Ross Brawn admitted that the series didn't consider the temperature when scheduling a late fall race at night in the desert. Desert climates are fascinating. While you might be roasting under a beating sun during the daytime, cool temperatures sweep in at night. And apparently that's like a real thing. Right? Like, it's very hot during the day, but if you're out in the desert, like, the temperature plummets. And several people have got hypothermia in the fucking desert. Cool temperatures sweep in at night to bring you the opposite form of misery, according to Ross Brawn, who left Formula One management ahead of the 2022 season, but who had been around for initial talks regarding the Las Vegas Grand Prix. No one in Formula One seemed to realize that it might actually get pretty cold in Nevada at night in November. I'm just going to drop the full Braun quote here because I need you all to believe that these words left his mouth. The one thing we hadn't considered initially, but the tire company have dealt with, is it gets very, very cold at night, he told Talk Sport. So when the race is happening, which is Saturday night, it has been known to drop down to 3 or 4 degrees. So it can be, now I don't know if he's saying Celsius. This guy might not know freedom units. So it can be, because I kind of don't think it would be 3 or 4 degrees in Nevada in November, but it could. So it can be really quite cold, and of course, getting the cars to work in those temperatures can be a challenge. The tire companies have done some work to make sure the tires can cope with that, because they're spelling tires not the American way. We're definitely facing some new challenges, which we've never had before, but I think it'll be spectacular. Las Vegas Grand Prix will take place on the iconic Strip, and there are plenty of factors that are going to make this race a challenge for teams. First, the event is set to start at 10 p.m. local time in order to allow a European audience to tune in. Jesus, that's a 1 a.m. start time for America's East Coast. That means temperatures will have plummeted drastically from the already cool November highs, and it will therefore be hard for the teams to warm their tires on the track that is composed of 3 long straights, which aren't known for their ample tire warming ability. Formula One cars aren't designed for optimal race pace in cool weather. Tires, brakes, and even the power units will take longer to reach their ideal operating window on a cool track, which means we're likely going to see a fair amount of skids, slides, and lockups. All because no one seemed to realize how late autumn desert climate works. Ironically, I chatted to a handful of folks affiliated with Formula One during the United States Grand Prix who were concerned that the Las Vegas race would be plagued with extreme heat that left so many drivers worn out and ill in Qatar. I was almost too stunned to clarify that is not how desert temperatures work. They were worried that the drivers would actually face extreme heat. So this was published on Friday, so did the race actually take place? Was that yesterday? No, it's November 19th. So it's this coming weekend. I'm going to see if I can find a news story on that. Oh, god damn. What a jackass move. Speaking of jackasses, here's a donkey playing with his favorite toy.
But I have a feeling you're just going to want this silly chicken. Smell it. It's peppermint. It's peppermint scented. That's not what you're wanting, is it? You're wanting this.
That's what Maynard sounds like of a morning.
Okay, well, so.
Oh, it's his favorite toy. He likes the chicken.
That's the chicken. Oh, you can't put that on there, Joe. Oh, my goodness.
It says donkey.
You throw it out. Are you gonna throw it out?
It says donkey on the caption. He loves his chicken toy. He's the one that's been throwing chickens at Cody Rhodes in the ring.
On position. There we go. There you go.
You gonna lay on your toy?
All the way down. Oh, you gonna roll on it? You gonna roll on it to make it squeak?
It's fucking adorable. I love this baby. I want to pet him.
Come on. Got a new ball today. But I have a feeling you're just gonna want this silly chicken.
Debbie Schulterman on TikTok. Let me tell you, it smells adorable in here right now. I need to get some new litter.
That's not what you're wanting, is it? You're wanting this. Okay, we'll throw it by the ball.
I'm sad he didn't like his new ball, but like him playing with the chicken is so fucking cute.
You can't put that on there, oh my goodness.
He's so excited. Yeah, I guess it's the noise he likes.
Are you gonna throw it out? We're gonna sit on it.
Why not sit on it?
On the fine position. There we go.
He's got a beautiful coat.
Nope, not all the way down. Oh, you gonna roll on it? You gonna roll on it to make it sweet?
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live. We're gonna cover the SAG-AFTRA strike, and we're gonna